49ers day after analysis from the top of Buffalo City Hall. Our chance to get a bird's eye view of the city and to discuss a bird's eye view of the 49ers after their blowout loss to the Bills. Point one, Brock Purdy. If you're trying to judge him as a quarterback based on a game that was played in lake effect snow coming off that body of water, that's Lake Erie, you're completely missing the basics of quarterback evaluation. Brock Purdy's an anticipatory thrower. He's a finesse thrower. He relies on timing. And in conditions like last night's, that is probably not going to be a winning formula. There's a reason why Brock Purdy did not have a great game throwing the football. On the other hand, Josh Allen, they drafted him here to Buffalo, so they would have a quarterback who's ready to regularly play in the conditions that that body of water creates. So it wasn't really a fair fight from a QB perspective matchup. We all know that Josh Allen is the best that there is playing in weather. He's won more games in December and January than any other quarterback. He's accounted for nearly 20 more touchdowns than any other quarterback in the NFL. That includes Patrick Mahomes once the calendar turns to December. And the calendar has turned to December here in Buffalo. Purdy's going to be all right. He was one of the least of the 49ers' worries yesterday. The defense was the big problem. If we're going to go bird's eye, if we're going to go big picture, the 49ers' defense struggled horrifically, and they've now struggled horrifically 2 weeks in a row. I'm not sure what they're going to do about the defensive staff moving forward. I do think that a big revamp across the board of this defense is necessary. It's been shown that they're way too top-heavy, way too reliant on Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, both of whom are hurt for the 49ers this year. That is not a path to sustainable success. You've got to have more strength, especially on the second level. They didn't have more than 2 defenders who graded out over 70 on PFF against the run. The back end of the 49ers defense really struggled against the run. They couldn't guard the perimeter yesterday. Charvarius Ward on the first Buffalo touchdown couldn't get out to the pylon. Jair Brown, time and time again, it seems that he's been abused in the run game. The only strengths of this 49ers defense yesterday seemed to be the young defensive tackles, and I think this was good news for the future. Evan Anderson, the undrafted free agent out of Florida Atlantic, he played a really good game, although even he couldn't get his footing on some of those pass rushes, kind of fell flat on his face there early on for the 49ers. Happened to a lot of defensive linemen yesterday in the snow, but Evan Anderson I thought was good against the run. And Khalil Davis, who they traded for right before the deadline, he also graded out solidly against the run. But along the edges, where the 49ers obviously missed Nick Bosa, and then in the back seven, there was nothing good to write home about for the 49ers, especially on run defense. They gave up nearly 7 yards a carry while Buffalo still had the starters in the game. 49ers now have the number 28 ranked run defense in the league. Steve Wilks, one of the big reasons he was fired was because they dropped to number 26, from the top to number 26 in run defense. Now under Nick Sorensen, they're down to number 28 in run defense, and you're just not going to be competitive if the core of what you do defensively is so bad. You know, the pass defense for the 49ers, I think that's their strength. I think at the cornerback position, they have covered well this year. Even at the safety position, the coverage hasn't been poor, but it really doesn't matter if you can't stop opponents' run games. And when they go back to the drawing board, they may have some foundational talent, young talent at defensive tackle, to fire the gaps against the run. When you look at Evan Anderson, maybe even Khalil Davis moving forward, but the edges have been so reliant on Nick Bosa, and the back end has got to be better in run defense. You know, Charvarius Ward dealing with personal tragedy. He returned yesterday. Back when he was at the height of his game for the 49ers a couple seasons ago, it was almost impossible to run to the edge on Charvarius Ward. It was also really hard to run against Talanoa Hufanga, one of their safeties. 49ers don't have that ability in their secondary anymore. They're not firing the gaps, and they're not sealing the edge in the same way that they did in the past. So fixing the run defense, it's going to be a big overarching thing that the 49ers absolutely must do to set themselves up for better success in 2025. That's at the very foundation of any defense, but especially the 49ers defense, which had prided itself on stopping the run for for all those years. They were at the top of the league consistently in the past, and that just isn't the case for the 49ers anymore. Offensively, we know that it all starts in the trenches for the 49ers. We know that the run blocking has been the basis for this offense, and it was really bad against Seattle. It was bad against Green Bay. It was actually really good yesterday. Ben Barch was road grading, clearing room. I don't know if he's an upgrade over Aaron Banks, but I do know that Aaron Banks' contract expires after this year, and the 49ers probably are going to have to go to a more cost-efficient option at that left guard position. Is Ben Barch suddenly a candidate for that? I know that with Jacksonville, he actually did some nice stuff, but he suffered a knee dislocation in 2022. So when the 49ers poached Barch off of the Jaguars practice squad last season, he wasn't fully back up to speed yet. So they used last season as a chance for him to start working back into things. Yesterday, he looked really, really good. So did Dominic Pooney, the right guard, who bounced back from the rough penalty-filled outing against Green Bay. So 49ers might have a couple nice pieces at guard, and who knows, Jalen Moore, he's only under contract at the end of this year, but he filled in again nicely for Trent Williams at that left tackle position. And he could be somebody that the 49ers bring back to fortify the depth of the O-line. Was not an offensive line problem in the game against Buffalo yesterday, and I think that's a big arrow up for the 49ers. Now, what needs to happen is that Kyle Shanahan needs to be able to leverage running success, because the 49ers had some gashing runs even after Christian McCaffrey got hurt. But Shanahan needs to be able to leverage rushing success into more space offensively in the pass game. And this is where Kyle Shanahan's loss of his fastball this year has really hurt the 49ers. They're still last in the league when it comes to average separation at the time of catch. They're still last in the league in yak. He tried to scheme up a few screen passes to make things easier for Brock Purdy yesterday, but obviously did not do a good enough job of that. There's a malaise that's happening in the play calling department for the 49ers. Yesterday, obviously, that created issues at the quarterback position in the pass game. I know that I mentioned the early qualifier that this was a snow game, so this was going to be hard, but the 49ers still have to be better. The truth of the matter is that Josh Allen, even though that we know, I mean, he's got a howitzer and he could play in this snow, he was throwing the guys that were wide open in this football game, mainly because Buffalo had set themselves up with a really good run game against the 49ers, but Buffalo also leveraged that run game to create open space in the pass game, while Brock Purdy was dealing with tight window after tight window after tight window. And the big picture statistics over the course of the whole year also verify that issue for the 49ers. So Shanahan has to self-evaluate. Shanahan has to get better. It looks like he has the run blocking tools to get things done. The Buffalo Bills are a good run defense, and the 49ers were able to take it to them in that area of the game. They probably would have taken to them very, very effectively throughout the whole game had Christian McCaffrey been able to stay healthy. But lanes were there. They just have to be leveraged into better productivity into the pass game, and that's something where Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy have to work in tandem. Purdy is still the 49ers guy. He's still a really good quarterback. One blizzard game where the 49ers did not leverage a good run game does not change that. I also know the Bills are a really damn good football team. But the 49ers have to find a way to build a more energetic supporting cast around their centerpieces. This year, the centerpieces have obviously been struggling with injuries and have been in and out of the lineup for the 49ers. I discussed that all in the live this morning. This is a team that's obviously fatigued, that's gone through a whole hell of a lot. Tragedy off the field, tough blow after tough blow on the field. A lot of players injured, 60 games in 3 seasons entering this one without a Super Bowl trophy to show for it. The 49ers are clearly exhausted, and the moment that they started to lose some of the big ticket players, their play suffered very predictably as a result. The failures of the 2022 and 2023 draft classes outside of Brock Purdy to give the 49ers the energy infusion that they've needed has really hurt the 49ers and come under the magnifying glass with so many of the A-list players hurt. So the 49ers obviously need to get those A-list players back, but they also do need to find a way to continue bolstering the lineup around Purdy and the defensive lineup especially with younger players who fill the depth ranks of this team up with a type of hunger that I think really propelled a team like the 2019 team all the way to the Super Bowl. That's going to be the retooling project in front of the 49ers. But there's no reason to read too much into one Brock Purdy performance in the snow here on the shores of Lake Erie. Anyway, Buffalo, underrated city, good food city, beautiful spot here from the top of Buffalo City Hall. I think it rivals San Francisco City Hall. You can't climb to the top of San Francisco City Hall, although that's also an architectural marvel. But this has been fun. You get to see downtown on that side. You get to see the lakes. On the other side, you could actually even see all the way out to Niagara Falls, although I think it's really hard to point out if you go to this side of the Buffalo City Hall building. I enjoyed my stay here, though. As I give you guys one more pivot, that's the direction of Niagara Falls. That's Canada on the other side of the body of water. And I think they call this neighborhood right behind me the West Village. Good food, good people in Buffalo. Congratulations to them on their AFC East championship. The 49ers, well, they're still technically alive this year, but I think that the last couple of weeks have really highlighted the retooling efforts they're going to have to happen. They need rest, they need recovery, then they need a retooling of that energetic supporting cast that helped the 49ers reach some great heights. Right now, though, they're knocked down and they're going to have to pick it up and get back to the type of elevation that we're at here on the 28th floor of Buffalo City Hall.